Welcome everybody to Unity of Las Vegas. My name is Jim Lee and I'm so glad that you are here. And whether you are quote unquote a regular or, hey, you're joining us for the very first time, I just want you to know, not by accident, stay tuned. There's something here just for you. This week, Lisa will be doing the talk with Dr. Toni Monsey. Now, Dr. Toni Monsey is a developmental psychologist. She does private and group counseling sessions, coaching sessions, and she supports clients in seeing and freeing themselves from habitual patterns. She shares some wonderful tools with these people so that they can have a life that's just for them. So, Dr. Toni is also a co-steward of Shared Awareness with Lisa and the We Wanting. This is a wonderful group that I belong to as well. And I just want you to know that Dr. Toni is a devoted practitioner of contemplative prayer. Dr. Toni and Lisa will explore the nature of this loving, wonderful universe that we live and breathe in. And what they're going to do, which I like this, is take a look at the barriers that can block our realization of this wonderful, loving space that we call our universe. The title of their talk, The Bearable Lightness of Being. So today, they will take us on a journey to discover this lightness of being that is not only bearable, but a universal birthright. Also, stay tuned after service for our fellowship as Dr. Toni will be joining us there as well. So just click on the link or see instructions on how to join us in the comments section. So today I want to start off with a prayer where we want to use scripture. Isaiah 65:24. Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear. Let us pray. Infinite Spirit that is love, essence that's all around us, in us, enveloping us, that is the creation of all that we see and experience. We are now open and willing to experience you at depth right here and right now. We're willing to experience the magnificence of who you are so that we can be the magnificence that you've designed us to be. Almighty God, we are now ready to hear and to experience the truth of who you are. And so it is. Amen. And so at this point, the title of today's lesson, The Bearable Lightness of Being. We have Lisa and Toni.
So hello, everybody. I am delighted to be here with my dear friend, Dr. Toni Monsey. Toni and I are both co-stewards of the We Wanting, which is a community dedicated to conscious interbeing and shared awareness. And what I find really remarkable about Toni is that not only is she brilliant, as you will see, but her wisdom is perpetually honed through courageous, personal, in-depth transformation. And she really becomes what she teaches. She has a unique way really of drawing the best in me forward, and I am just so delighted to be able to share her with you today. Hi, Toni.
Hi, Lisa, and everyone. I'm so glad to be here with you.
So the title of our message today is The Bearable Lightness of Being. So in contrast to the 1988 movie, which is entitled The Unbearable Lightness of Being, this title has inspired this awareness that, as Marianne Williamson said, it is our light and not our darkness that most frightens us. Who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? The challenges of living this large light that we really are can seem unbearable from the human perspective. But what if the perfect holding environment is ever available to support our full expression? So today, Toni and I will explore the nature of this loving universal container that we live and breathe in, along with any barriers to its realization. And then we will share a relational meditation, which we will explain a little bit later. So this idea of the holding environment comes from A.H. Almas's book, The Facets of Unity, along with his concepts of basic trust and living daylight, which we have explored here on previous Sundays. But before we begin, we're choosing this topic, Toni, because you are particularly passionate about that. Can you share with us why that is?
Sure. I think at some point in my journey, transformational and spiritual journey, I really realized that our wounds that happen to us in life happen in relationship, and that it's generally that our early childhood holding environments, or the environment in which we're born into, that those relationship wounds can happen, and that to recover from that, to continue to transform, that what really supports us to do that is to have holding environments, to have ways we can come together in relationship to be able to really support kind of what I call earning a secure attachment. Some of us had insecure attachments, or, not completely secure. So, Erik Erikson, who's a psychologist and that I studied in undergrad, he talks about the stages of development, starting with infancy, where trust versus mistrust is our first task. And so, if we err more on the side of mistrust there because of various, traumatic or other, just being an infant, the challenges, then we can kind of develop around those kinds of places in ways that they're invisible to us. So I just got really interested in how do we recover our trust in the goodness of our own beings in the universe, and how do we do that best in our lives so that we can, kind of unfold more naturally. So I just kind of became convinced through a variety of different aspects of my journey that these topics are really key and foundational. And really, if we have these, we're kind of set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can really sense that. I've noticed that in my own spiritual journey, this idea of this trust and really being able to experience that fully has been very foundational. And so when we speak about this basic trust, what does basic trust really do for us? And, how does that help us and inform our spiritual journey?
Yeah, well, I know you mentioned that you've talked about trust before, so I just want to make a distinction that there's what I would call relative trust, the trust we deal with in our human-to-human relationships, like do I trust you or not, or do we trust others? And there's another type of trust, what we're calling, that's more foundational, that I refer to, that is, what Almas and others call basic trust. And, I also sometimes think of basic trust as just that faith, the deepest kind of faith. But to give it a definition for us to work with, basic trust is this kind of non-conceptual confidence in the goodness of the universe. It's just this unquestioned, implicit trust that there is something about the universe, human nature, and life itself that's inherently and fundamentally good, loving, and wishing us the best. But even just kind of saying that, I can kind of feel it manifesting more in and through me. And when basic trust informs our experience like that, our psyche can relax. I think you also talked about the psyche some here, and just, when our psyche relaxes, it opens and can come in service to our soul. So when we are relaxed, our soul is at peace with itself and with our situation. And we can kind of rest in that unquestioned confidence that the universe provides, for us, and that we have and will receive what we really need, and things are going to work out. And so if we really have this, there is that kind of deep inner relaxation it becomes possible for us to live our lives out of love, out of an appreciation of life, out of enjoyment in what the universe provides us. And, and we can also live out of this kind of compassion and kindness for others, but also really importantly, like critically for ourselves, and so without this kind of trust, and we all have it on some levels, there's a continuum probably, but without it, if, we live our lives more defensively, we're more in conflict with ourselves and one another, and we can become more self-centered, what about me, and egotistical. We have to, though. There's nothing wrong with that. To develop and grow up, we need to form our egos. So there's nothing wrong with it. But as we wake up, we need to recover the basic trust in order to reconnect with our natural state that we become separated from. Our egos can get a little more reified if we have less trust. And it can be a lot of defenses that we live through. So that's kind of an intro to basic trust. And I hope that made some sense.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, even as you're talking, I feel like I'm just breathing more deeply and, kind of relaxing into this awareness. So, regarding this living light of living daylight, and we've actually done meditations around that here. What is the relationship between basic trust and living daylight, and how do we lose contact with it, and how to recover that? I'm assuming this has something to do with our holding environment.
Yes. And kind of just even talking about living daylight and the meditations with it can kind of feel it calming. But yeah, again, if we have that basic trust at the deepest level, then we perceive ourselves and all of life as being made of what Almas calls living daylight. Now, all of us call it, others call it, we all have probably names for this. Others might call it divine love. Some call it conscious presence. I like to call it living presence, because I feel like when I'm really in contact with it, it's just this living presence that's in and through and around me. Others might call it universal love, Christ consciousness, higher power. So regardless of what we call it, we really begin to see everything as originating in it, bathed in it and made up of it, so including ourselves. And I know for me, that has been one of the biggest challenges in my life, is to really get that this body, this me, Toni, is inherently, this goodness, this basic goodness. So I tend to emphasize to all of us that this absolutely needs to include ourselves, and then when we have access, or kind of are able to perceive this living daylight, it's experienced as a tender, loving presence. And oddly, as I would say, it's almost like it's invisibly visible to us. And it's kind of experienced as the origin of all states of consciousness, where everything comes from. And it, can be seen as the true nature of everything that exists. It's almost like the universe can light up more with aliveness everywhere. Everything's made of this living daylight and this basic goodness. And we tend to then see the universe as benevolent, since it's made of this benevolence, and our souls feel held more and taken care of in a way that's appropriate for us, and we feel provided for and supported, even when things are not going so easily, right? Or that things are hard, that we begin to get, even underneath all that, there is this living daylight is holding us, and we have this foundation of basic trust. So it's really just kind of a confidence in reality that results from experiencing this. And I love, you may have done it with the living daylight prayer or meditation, but Almas has a beautiful way that he says it, which is that it's the trust such that that even if you fall, you'll be held. If you let go, things will be okay. If you let yourself not know, you'll be guided. And if you don't manipulate or control, you'll be taken care of in a way that's appropriate for you. So that's a feeling of what this is. And, we all lose contact with this living daylight to one degree or another. And so if that's okay with you, I'll just keep going into a little bit about the holding environment and come back to see if there's anything that I'm leaving out. Does that sound okay with you?
Yep, it sounds absolutely
Perfect. So, holding environment, let's just do a little bit on that. So a psychologist named D.W. Winnicott, a British psychologist, is the one who kind of came up with object relations theory, or at least the one that's credited with it. And so he kind of is the one that coined this term. And what he calls the holding environment is that the environment during our first year or so of life, the period of infancy before we really begin to develop our separate sense of self. And so initially our holding environment is the womb. And then later on, it's the arms and laps of our mothers and fathers, or those who care for us. And it also includes the environment of where we might be sleeping, our bedrooms, our houses, our towns, the whole situation in which we exist. And it includes, the psychological experiences that are inherent in your family of origin or in the time. I mean, think of the holding environment right now with the pandemic and all that's going on. That's part of the holding environment that infants being born into today are being born into. And so it's kind of the totality of the surroundings and the general feel of your formative years. That's our original holding environment, and kind of where we form our egoic structures, and then later, we always all exist in holding environments, but with our early one, we each experienced our holding as more or less holding. If the environment was a good holding, it makes us, made us feel taken care of or protected, understood, loved, held even as infants in such a way that that our consciousness, our way of awakening into this world could be more fluid, and we could grow spontaneously and naturally on our own. It's kind of like I like to compare it to a seedling of a tree, that in order for the seed to be able to become a tree, it needs to have the right kind of soil, enough water, enough light, enough shade. And if it doesn't have it, it won't grow to its fullest, or it may not grow at all. So it's the same for us. And so we really need our holding environments, as infants, it's foundational, but even now, to provide a sense of safety and security, the sense that we are and can count on being taken care of. Our souls need an environment that's dependable and consistent, attuned to our needs, and that provides for us. So that's the ideal. And we didn't all get that ideal. And so we all lose contact with that experience to one degree or another. And so when we lose contact, we feel like we don't have the support we need to be ourselves, and we react in ways to try to establish or reestablish the holding environment. We get our defenses. Some of us have more, might cry more. Some of us might be, quiet and withdraw. I mean, we all have different parts of our personalities that are reactions to our perceived and or experienced holding. And so, we react to that loss of holding, and then we aren't trusting being anymore. And our unfoldment becomes less fluid, less what it could be if we had that. Does that make sense?
Oh, perfectly. As you're speaking, I'm thinking of my own holding environment, and I've always thought of my parents as being good parents, and but when I think about my infancy, for example, I was a preemie, and the first 4 weeks of my life was in the hospital in a heated crib. And I was unable to digest cow's milk formula, which was the basis of most formula for babies at that time, so even though I don't have a direct conscious memory of that, I'm really sensing into that now as you're talking about, as having this impact, on my holding environment that was very significant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and interesting. I mean, I can totally relate. It's interesting because as an infant, I was 7 months old, but had an eggshell crack from a fall, and I ended up in a hospital for a month and strapped down. And at 7 months is when you're learning to crawl. And so as you might imagine, I was strapped down so I wouldn't roll and hit my head more, but as you can imagine, that kind of, just like you being in an incubator for 4 weeks when you first come into the world. And then when I'm supposed to be learning to crawl, I cannot move. it does leave imprints in us that, you know, as we develop, we kind of develop around. And then at some point in our journey, and I'm sure it's true for you as it has been for me, we have to kind of go in and address those things to provide the holding for ourselves that wasn't there then.
And there's something beautiful about being able to bring consciousness to that, though. You know, to really consciously, you know, look at that and to refocus and to recreate and to reconnect in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, and it's interesting because, you know, as we kind of are mining the depths of ourselves in our journeys and joining with others as they are as well, it's there's so much richness and depth that can go with that. And then how to really understand how as adults, it's up to us to create our holding environment, you know, that allows us to recover that trust and to discover or rediscover the living daylight. And, you know, and to begin to allow our souls to have the freedom that I think we all crave, you know, and I think that often, I don't know where it started for you, the journey. I think my journey, I don't know, probably started in childhood, but really when I kind of left home, even to go to college, but you know, wherever we kind of often start with that life of self-reflection or prayer or meditation, or things are painful and aren't going well, we start to pay attention to the interior of ourselves and our own beliefs and emotions and feelings and sensations. And that's kind of what is our holding environment, you know, as adults is that. So it is quite a journey to make that more visible and then to join with others in their holding environments too, to begin to make this all work.
All right. Well, what I would like to do now is to really deepen our experience with this through meditation. And so many of us are familiar with meditating individually, but today we will all be sharing a form of what we call relational meditation. And this may sound unusual, but actually in traditional Asian Buddhism, meditation was always taught and practiced in communion with others to strengthen one awareness with things and all beings around us, and to develop a sense of right speech and to locate unconscious patterns in us. In fact, this idea of that it's possible to meditate as a solo practice was really considered delusional because we're all really very deeply, profoundly interconnected. So today, in this form of meditation, Toni and I will be speaking to each other with our eyes open within a shared field of consciousness. And although you are not here on Zoom in real time with us, the consciousness where we are connected actually transcends time and space, and it very much includes you. So every step of the way, I'm going to be guiding you and directing you so that this is a fully participatory experience for you. So to begin our time together, let's just begin by closing our eyes and taking some gentle breaths in and out, and allowing this breath to just permeate every cell in your being and experience it really as living energy flowing in and out. And even imagine all parts of your body as being respiratory organs themselves, and just seeing this breath flowing in and out freely, relaxing, centering, harmonizing, healing, releasing. And now imagine that you are breathing directly in and out of your heart, just alivening your awareness around this beautiful part of your being, your physical heart, your spiritual heart. And imagine your heart as a cosmic womb. And imagine yourself as a light inside of this womb. Now, this womb that is embracing you is the perfect holding environment for you to grow and develop. This environment that you are surrounded in is soft, supportive, protective, and understanding. There is a beautiful, loving wisdom that is present. There is a sense of being held by a wonderful light love. Everything is provided for you before the need arises. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. Just take another few deep breaths into this beautiful womb, into this loving presence in which you are embraced and surrounded. Now imagine that it is time for you to be born into the world. Your experience shifts from being inside of this womb to this travel down the birth canal and into the arms of your mother or caretaker for the very first time. Sense into the gentle sounds that are in the room, the soft lighting, and the warm blanket that is now holding you. This environment is completely new, but still soft, supportive, protective, and understanding. There's a sense of being held by a wonderful light love. Everything is still provided for you before the need arises. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. Breathe in this beautiful continuation of this safety, of this protection, this loving presence in this new environment. And now allow your imagination to create another new environment where there are new people, new places, new circumstances. And sense in this new environment that it is as soft, as supportive, as protective, and understanding as the one before. There is a sense of being held by a wonderful light love. Everything is provided for you before the need arises. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. And take another deep breath into this new environment. Sensing the amazing love that is here and available for you. And take a deep breath, seeing that whatever scenarios your imagination creates for you, the holding environment is the same. Soft, supportive, protective, and understanding. There's a sense of being held by this wonderful light love. Everything in each scenario is provided for you before the need arises. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. And so now take another deep breath, and I invite you to open your eyes and be with Toni and me in this shared, loving, holding environment that we now have presenced and are all inside of together. And take a moment to sense into it. Sensing it as soft, supportive, protective, and understanding. Sense all of us inside of this together. This beautiful sense of being held by a wonderful light, love. And here, as before, everything is provided for us even before the need arises. Before they call, I will answer. While they are yet speaking, I will hear. And so now for the next 5 minutes, Toni and I are going to begin speaking into the space, what we are experiencing in it. And we invite you, as you listen, to imagine that the words that you are hearing are actually your words, that you are very much inside of this experience with us. Set my timer here. And so Toni, inside of this holding environment, what is present as we?
Yeah, it's almost like there's a palpable, like I can, a textured quality to the space that we're in, that it penetrates in and through and soothes, yet extends out as well.
It's really kind of like this softness, almost like a kind of puffy softness. It's like, you know, touching our skin, you know, right in our faces. It feels very, very, very gentle. And there's a sense of a warmth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very kind of sweet, tender. It's surrendering. It's almost like I feel like we could, you know, lay back and we would just be held in this, and that it, you know, it can feel it touching everywhere: face, arms, hands, feet. Like it's just almost like and my whole body is kind of purring, like if I was a cat. It's like, ooh, tingling, feeling that.
There's a sense really of this deep connectivity to everything. Like I feel like I don't have to know things, you know, it's like if I don't know, it's okay. You know, there's a sense of something is connected in there. There's a sense of a wisdom or something that is holding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like innocence restored, or, you know, beginner's mind. There's like it's like we're just flowing, the continuity of being, that whatever is going to arise is going to come, and it's going to, it might surprise us or what, but it's just like there's not doubt. There's a knowing even in the unknowing somehow.
Yeah, and there's this deep sense of expansion. It feels like whatever it is that we do know, somehow it's like moving out, or it's getting larger, or becoming more of itself, or there's some type of way of it is, yeah, making like moving out and becoming more.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling right now like that scene in the Raiders of the Lost Ark when he steps off the cliff. Like that, I can, like my feet. I'm kind of like I can just almost like I could walk on the air that we're in. There's just like a natural just walking or being that is very exploratory and just curious about, oh my God, what's going to be next?
There's almost a sense of that when you have this image of Harrison Ford really stepping out into what appears to be nothing first. You know, there is that real sense of that freedom, you know, to play, to really be playful and to explore out. And it has even like a creative component to it. Like, you know, as we explore, something is appearing and we're safe enough to not have to know what that looks like beforehand.
Yeah. An image of a chemistry experiment went in through my mind, and like, where there is no worry that we're going to blow anything up in a way that's not goodness coming into existence. That there's just some way of being in this kind of creative milieu almost, that it's just part of the process is creating. I feel organic. It's like we're organically a part of this.
Yeah, it feels like there's part of us that's being created in this too. Like we're kind of being loved forward, you know, in some way. It's like this, like we are, like I'm just having this image now of our hearts becoming bigger. You know, like we're, you know, able to really expand and be the most of who we can be.
Yes. Yes, I want more of that.
Yes, absolutely. And so, as Toni mentioned, because many of us did not experience the perfect holding environment as children or even now, it can be very healing to really allow these parts of ourselves that did not feel cared for to be acknowledged. And so in this next 5-minute practice, these tender human parts of ourselves will be in dialogue with the universal loving holding environment. And so Toni will be speaking as the human parts of ourselves, and I will be this universal loving holding environment. And together they will be in dialogue back and forth. So these parts are, this way we'll be able to allow them to be touched by this love that they didn't feel that they actually received before. And so as before, when Toni and I are speaking, I would like you to imagine that these are not only our words, but these are your words as well. So Toni, what is present for you in these tender human places?
Yeah, there's like a almost like a tightness in my solar plexus, and so it's a part. I can feel this part of me that's like, yeah, but you know, what about when I was screaming and there was no comfort, or what about when I was hurting and you weren't there? There's there's almost like a nauseous feeling that wants to come out and just snarl at this substance we're in.
Yes, beloved one, I am so with you. I am here comforting your nausea. I am close and interpenetrating you thoroughly with all that you are experiencing in this discomfort. I am there with you.
Yeah, I'm almost like this confusing twirl of like being inside this kind of love and experiencing that response, and there's like I'm spinning around, like I'm disoriented and kind of coming undone is the feeling, like I'm just spinning, coming apart.
And I am this love that is both me and you, that is holding all of these parts. I am that loving context that is creating harmony, that is helping to recreate and to bring you back into harmony. And really to take you to this next place of who you are. I am there in all of this movement.
Yeah, interesting. Kind of what's present. It's almost like now a stabbing sensation of. It's almost like feeling some. Why didn't I, Toni, know that you were here? There's almost. It's almost like turning in on myself and being self-recriminating, almost hating or blaming to myself that I didn't know that you were there.
And I am so with you, beloved, as you are doing this. It is me in those tender places with you, loving you fully. And so admiring your beautiful courage in this incarnation, in all the ways that this has manifested. You have never been alone. And I feel even more of my love and energy flowing forth into these parts of you and into these experiences.
There's what's present is just wanting to scream like that painting. Just it's almost like releasing all pain into this into this space that we are in. Like there's just silent scream that's releasing everything. It's almost like something in me is opening and spilling out into this, into you.
Yes, and it is me that is drawing that forth from you. I am absorbing that. I am taking all of you in. Everything about you is beloved to me. I am with every scream. I am with every emotion, with every thought. I am there. I am drawing you closer to me. And we are becoming more and more one.
Yeah, I'm actually experiencing my resistance, my defenses, like just surrendering, and almost like I'm going into a flow, a current that's flowing with instead of against.
And I am with you in that. There is nothing that can separate us. I am surrounding and interpenetrating this resistance and loving you through and through all of it. There is nothing that you can do, be, or say that is outside of this love that I have for you. And in every breath you take, it is actually expanding, and I'm loving you more. And so it
is. Thank you. It's like, can understand why love is the energy that is, that's ising through us. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the experience of this because it just, something really shifts. You know, it's more than just, it's so much more than just words. It's like we're different now. Mm-hmm. This has a way of kind of going into the DNA of our whole being, and, touching very deep places that haven't really, maybe haven't seen the light of day before. So.
Absolutely. It's like you can see with this how our holding environments that include us, but more than us, are curative. You know, they allow us to turn towards these feelings of confusion or pain or knives coming out or my resistance that wants to spit or feelings of powerlessness. And, you know, as we are in these kinds of holding environments, especially especially together, it regulates us, and it's almost like my defenses they could do nothing but surrender and let go. And they often will say that in these kinds of environment, the unfinished business of our infancies and childhoods, it does release. It can release. And we can, kind of have, like you were saying somewhere in there, that we flow forth, our real integrity, love, creativity, understanding, guidance, joy, power, serenity kind of emerges from these. So thank you for being my holding environment, because that is what I'm feeling surrounded in, and knowing more deeply that that's where I come from and exist in. So thank you.
And it's really beautiful that as adults right now, we can bring our conscious awareness to this. And it really is up to us now in this consciousness to recover our basic trust, such that we are held with this living daylight, unconditional loving consciousness. And as we do so, our lives unfold naturally, and we become this bearable lightness of being. I thank you so very, very much, Toni, for being here. It's been just totally wonderful, and always a blessing to be with you.
Well, you are welcome. And thank you. Bless you all. And yes, have fun playing with and being inside these holding environments.
Absolutely. Blessings on your day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Aloha, Unity of Las Vegas. It's Faith Rivera, and I'm so happy to be here with you on this beautiful Sunday. I get to share with you, thanks to the invitation by your music director, Michelle Roll, this song entitled Child of This Universe, and it's from my album called Maluhia. And I sat down one year, and it might have been after the Rodney King riots, and I just sat down and I wrote for a day or 2 days all these songs about living everyday peace. And that's what Maluhia means, is peace. But I meant it to mean everyday peace. How can this be something that's a part of our life? And so I wrote Child of This Universe, which talks about our connection with all of life, our connection with nature, our connection with the cosmos. And in my mind, I felt like when I can really get that I am just so connected, that I am held by all of life, that life is for me, and also to understand my role, right, in expanding this world that we live in, expanding the consciousness and actually the world, the cosmos, with my thoughts and my beingness. When I could get that, I could have this feeling of safety, this knowing that I'm not alone, which I think leads you to peace, this feeling of peace. So enjoy this song, Child of This Universe. It is a song about you and the love that is here for you all the time, and the love that you deliver as well. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of my journey. Enjoy.
Child of this universe, the ocean dances at my feet, the wind plays a melody through my hair. I am loved at every turn. I am kissed by Mother. Of this universe, the sun warms me in its embrace. The stars have a light for me in the sky. I am honored by all life. I am held by Father Time. Every blade of grass, every shaking leaf on
Thank you so much, Toni, my dear friend, for not only sharing your wisdom, but also your heart. We will have the privilege of being with Toni again at our after-service fellowship immediately following the service today. You can click the link below or check out the instructions in the comments section to join us.
I like the service, so if you like the service or it impacted you in any kind of way, I'm inviting you to do a couple of things. Number one, join the community. And what do I mean by that is, hey, join us on Sundays. Next thing, share this with your family, your friends, your co-workers. Hey, if it inspired you, it could inspire them. Next thing, I'm inviting you to partner with us financially. You know what I mean, Lisa? If this is touching you, moving you in some kind of way, transforming you, please consider praying about what you could give to support us and sending this message out so more and more people can get involved with this. You can give on our website, via text, by phone. Information is at the comments section below.
And so we just want you to know that we love you, we bless you, and we truly appreciate you. And just remember at any point in your day that you are met with a challenge. We live and move and have our very being in love.
And with that, let's say the prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is there, and all is well. God bless you. See you next week.
Child of this universe, the ocean dances at my feet. The wind plays a melody through my hair. I am loved.